Hello, React Native developers. What is going on? William here, recording from beautiful Zurich, Switzerland. I'm joined with Lucas Pelloni, co-founder of Axelra. And we're in a very special place today.
Yeah, we are.
It's a podcast studio that just opened in Kraftwerk in Zurich. And so I think it's a great idea, right? There is more and more content creators in Zurich. And I thought it would be great to check it out, see how it is. And as you guys might know, I love to have great app developers on my channel. And so I thought I would invite you to...
Yeah, thanks for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be here for me as well.
As I mentioned it already, you're the co-founder of Axelra.
Exactly.
Can you tell us what it is?
Yeah, so Axelra is a tech venture builder and a tech accelerator here based in Zurich. And we build any kind of digital products within 100 days. This is our main value proposition. So we bring to the market really any sort of digital products in a very short period. And we have so-called skin in the game, which means that we invest up to 50% of our technology cost against shares of our startups. For instance, if a startup wants to start a project with us, and based on their needs, we can say, okay, we can find an agreement and kind of exchange our costs against shares of the company. So this is how it works. We have also different participation models. For instance, we can have also revenue sharing with our customers, or even a simple agency approach. So they just book us for 100 days and they pay the full amount for these 100 days. Actually, the company is very young. So we started in May this year, 2019. So we are.
Wow.
So it's really new, and we are almost 15 people now. So we are now 15 people almost, and it's a lot of fun. So we work with a lot of very talented people, mainly developers. So there is just Speech, who is also a co-founder, who has the lead he is actually the CEO of the company. He has the lead for the business side. Then there is Thomas, who is also a co-founder, CTO. And then there are Sarah and I, we lead mainly the technical part of the company. And then we have a lot of amazing people, amazing developers like Johnny. He's one of our best developers at Axelra.
And you guys are roommates as well,
yeah,
right?
we are roommates. So
and you are also hackathon teammates, right?
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, we used to win the audience award at the hackathon, the Hack Zurich, which is the biggest hackathon in Europe. You have more than, I guess, 5,000 applications, right? And they just get 500 people, and then 25 finalists, and then we used to win it. So it's the audience award, but it was a nice experience, yeah.
So you mentioned two other co-founders.
Mm-hmm.
How did you guys decided to?
So we are four co-founders.
Four co-founders. And how did you guys decided to do this together? So
three of four co-founders, we used to work in another startup together, actually also with Johnny. And the other startup now doesn't exist anymore, I guess, but it was a very nice experience for us. We love to work together to build new products, and the approach we had, it was mainly about really innovate stuff. So it wasn't just about the traditional software business model, but it was more about, okay, we have to create something new, and we have to push it to the market and see how it works. And then it worked so well that we decided to join another company for starting this new experience together. And then with the other company, it didn't work neither. And we decided, okay, now, you know what, we're going to create our own baby and start this adventure all together.
Okay.
And yeah, it's working really well. I'm very happy. I woke up every morning and say, okay, today I'm going to go a step forward, So it's a lot of fun as well.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Was it difficult to get started, or?
It was, yeah. I mean, you have on the one hand the risk because you're a new startup, a new company. You don't have the warranty that someone or anybody would give you credibility. And on the other hand, you don't have project to start with. So we were just basically four guys with a lot of good spirit and a lot of, we just wanted to do something great. And then actually we just found our new first customer, and then we started to deliver well, and customers were coming more and more.
All right. So you guys are now up and running. You are building these amazing MVPs for startups, and also only startups or also bigger companies?
Both, actually. So that's what I was telling you before. We have two different approaches based on if the customer is a company, or is representing a company or a startup. For instance, one of our last products, it's called Swype, and we build it for one of the biggest telco providers here in Switzerland. On the other hand, we also build an analytics dashboard for measuring live Wi-Fi tracking sensors for Live Analytics, which is a small startup here, also based in Zurich. So we have everything.
All right. So it sounds like even if it's a bigger company, they might want to build a new product like startup style in a lean way. Yeah. And this is where you come in, basically.
Yeah, we bring speed and quality, basically.
Yes.
And this is mainly our value proposition. We just don't build, we are not just like an outsourcing company giving developers. We build a product. So it's not just we allocate a team for, I don't know, X weeks, but we build together with the customer a product. So we sit together with them, we do the whole customer journey, we do the ideation phase, the creation phase, and we do the backlog, the whole agile methodology together with them. We create the user stories, and then basically we build the MVP. But it's the whole product. So this always I want to highlight this, because in the tech world it sounds like, okay, developers are just writing code, and in our case there is much more behind it.
Yeah. And based on some of the projects I've seen you guys do, it's more than an MVP sometimes, right? You completely go to market and have like the product like fully up and running and deployed to really lots of people, right?
Yeah, exactly. So we launched the technology. Mainly we do always a proposition. Okay, we would love to use this technology because we use it, because we know it. So for instance, we always propose to use either React for web or React Native for web apps on the front end side, and AWS in the back end side. But we'll let also the customer decide or bring arguments if they want to choose another stack, for instance. Yeah.
And how did you decide originally to work with React and React Native?
Actually, that's a very funny story. I used to be an Angular developer, so I approached the web.
Me too.
I approached the web world just doing my first apps was just a flat app for Swiss citizens here in Switzerland for sharing I don't know how do you say it, but WGs, so like shared apartments. Yeah. And this was a very small project, and I used to implement it with Angular. And then I got in touch with Johnny, since I also studied at the University of Zurich, and I was using Bestande, which is Johnny's app, so, which is very nice. and then we just, I don't remember exactly, but I wrote him once in Facebook, "Hey Johnny, you're amazing. I love your app. We should maybe take a coffee together and talk about a bit technology, And then he told me, there is this new language, kind of new, right? Because React is, I guess, 2015, right? Has been launched by Facebook, and you should try it out. And then, wow, it was okay. This is a game changer. this is really something that could bring the industry to the next level, mainly because of React Native and React. So using the same programming language for implementing both web and mobile apps.
But if I try to remember the state of React back in 2015, what, like taking React in 2015, what made you think it was a game changer back then?
Well, I approached React in 2017.
Okay.
So I used to implement with Angular like for 2 years, and then in 2017, React was already into the next level. I mean,
so then we have the same timeline with the technology, where also I got started in 2017, early 2017. And I remember I worked 1 year in Palo Alto, and so everyone was doing, so it was 2015, everyone was started to do React. I was doing Angular, and everyone was talking React everywhere in Palo Alto, like you were going to the grocery store. There really is a conversation around you. While you buy fruits and vegetables were about React and stuff. And but I was really waiting, for instance, for the language to be type safe, so you could use it with TypeScript, and JSX at the time was not available. And then obviously React Native is incredibly compelling use case to build these hybrid apps. It's
it's amazing.
And so that's your preferred technology if you have like a new mobile app.
Definitely,
that's what you're gonna use.
I mean, I used to teach it also at the university. I've been for 2 years a teaching assistant, and actually I introduced React to the university because there is for bachelor students there is like they have to do a small project in the third semester. I don't remember exactly, but they have to do a small software project. And they used to use Angular until now. And then the second year of when I was a teaching assistant, I went to the the decanate here, and then I took to the main professor, and I told him, you know what, I'm gonna take care of this. I'm gonna introduce React so that new students will be able to learn this new technology. And they accepted. So if you are looking at this video, students, you have to thank me because you are using now this amazing technology.
I mean, what I really love about React in the context of education is that, let's say in 5 years, there is no more React. Like React will, like the concepts and idea and the programming model is going to survive the library itself. So now if you look in Swift UI,
definitely.
Flutter,
also, the patterns are
absolutely.
I mean, the concept it's a game changer. Really,
so that's why it's always like you can learn React. It's like a really safe bet because even though you maybe in the future you might not do React anymore, knock on wood, the principles you've learned,
you can still
these will stay forever, right?
I agree with you.
The same way, like today you wouldn't do jQuery anymore, but now it's like built into
a lot of websites,
to the browsers, right? Through the DOM selector and so on. So I think the same is gonna happen with React. And so let's say you're building a new MVP in React Native. How do you get started?
Okay. First of all, based on the specification and the business requirements, we decide either to go for a plain React Native project or to use Expo.
Okay.
So for instance, if there is no need if the complex doesn't need a very high complexity, we prefer to use Expo because it's easier also to set it up. You don't have so much problems, and at the end of the day, also the deployment process. So once you go to the market, it's easier and it's supported very well. On the other hand, if we need to integrate third-party libraries or whatever KYC process, for instance, or credit card providers and this kind of stuff, we prefer to use a plain React Native product, so starting from scratch.
All right.
So basically, we have to create React Native app.
And not, so you wouldn't so you know upfront you need native modules. You wouldn't do an Expo project and then detach. You would start directly from React Native.
Yeah.
Unit. Okay.
Yeah, because based on our experience, we used to do it for 2 projects, but then you have a lot of. The problem is once you go Expo, you never come back, right? So this is also my idea. So a lot of models are installed even though you are not using them. So you have to maybe deinstall these models that are in the Expo kit that you are not using. So the bundle gets bigger, and you have also compatibility issues with some stuff has been already kind of configured with Expo, and some stuff is still just relying on your configuration. So yeah, we prefer to go either with Expo or a plain React Native project.
Okay.
And yeah, of course, if we have to eject, we can always eject.
But then you still let's say you start with React Native in it, but sometimes let's say you need a file system module. Are you gonna use the file system module from Expo? Or
it depends. Always.
It depends. Okay.
It depends. As I said before, we either go like 100% with Expo, and we rely on the libraries that are already supported by the Expo community, or we say, okay, we're going to have a plain React Native project. On the other hand, if we have to integrate some models from Expo into a React Native project, we can always use these uni models. So you still have this bridge, right? That you can integrate them very well.
Yeah, absolutely. And so you mentioned that for the backend, you usually work with AWS.
Yeah.
How does that integrate with React Native? What kind of libraries do you use?
It's well supported mainly on the authentication authorization part. So on the backend, we are using a serverless architecture. So everything is microservice based and orchestrated by an API gateway in AWS. But the bridge between, I would say, AWS, React Native, and the whole serverless infrastructure is Amplify. Amplify is a very well-known framework that wraps the whole authentication, authorization complexity into one single library. And it helps you a lot to manage, for instance, user sessions, user write, YAM rules, whatever has to do with authentication.
And this library has no native dependencies?
No. It's plainly, so you can integrate with either iOS, Android, or React Native. Okay. And it doesn't have any native dependencies. It helps also us a lot for social logins. So a lot of people are now still reinventing the wheel every time that they have to integrate a social login. With Amplify, you can easily, with a hosted UI, it's a model exposed by Amplify, you can simply integrate Facebook, Google, or even sign in with Apple into a React Native app, which is a requirement now, by the way, for all React Native developers that are looking at this podcast. If you're using one of them, so either Google or Facebook login, you have to implement signing with Apple if you want to upload your app.
Yeah. Was it hard to implement?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we had to, because Apple wanted to have this signing with Apple, right? And the problem is that AWS was still in a transition phase, so it was kind of supported, but now it's well supported. So now it shouldn't be so hard to integrate it, but in November, once we had to, it was okay. Developers were still running, okay, what kind of dependencies do we have to manage? What kind of flows are involved with the whole authentication with Apple and this kind of stuff.
All right. And what kind of other libraries do you like to use in your React Native projects, like React Navigations? Do you guys use Redux?
Yes, so we use Redux for state management and Redux Tank for asynchronous HTTP calls for with Redux. On the other hand, we use React Navigation for routing and this kind of stuff, and Reanimated for animations, and Redash for your library.
Cool.
As helper library for Reanimated, and then what else?
So gesture handler.
Gesture handler, of course, yeah. React Native Splash, I guess. Screens as well. And then, yeah, I should check, but I mean mainly these libraries, and then of course, based on the application requirements, we install other libraries. We prefer to install less libraries and build stuff from scratch, since, as everyone in the React Native community knows, React Native is growing very fast. So it might be that a library that used to work last year nowadays is completely broken. So
that's also a bit my approach at the moment with React Native projects. And so we're both fans of the technology, obviously. What things do you find very challenging or frustrating working with React Native?
That's a good question. So the debugging process, I hate it. The problem is that when you have a problem with React Native, mainly in Android, it might happen that your stack trace just tells you, for instance, bug or double or something went wrong. And then you have to figure it out by yourself what happened. So this is the only thing that sometimes it's frustrating. It's frustrating.
And so often it's going to be errors in the native module, and then you get this really random message that, you have to do tries and errors to try to get back to the source.
The thing is, there are so many things going on, and even with the whole React Native bridge, native models, JavaScript models, you don't know exactly where the error is located. If it comes from the UI thread or from the JavaScript thread or where it is. So you get to used to it, but sometimes it might be very frustrating.
And do you have any advice you would like? So there's a lot of React Native developers watching this. If there is any advice you would like to give to people doing React Native?
Well, now with the new version, you get the logs directly in the tunnel, which is very, very helpful. And then we use the debugger with the Chrome console. It helps a bit if you want to debug the code. But more than that, I don't have any special tricks. Just a lot of patience and just go and find your bugs.
I think you guys are also using TypeScript a lot.
Yeah, definitely.
Which I think is, to me, it's a must-have.
Yeah, it's a must.
Yeah. I think even if you're a solo developer, you can win so much time by using this type system.
Yeah.
It's for your productivity. It's just nowadays you're really missing out if you're not using it.
Yeah, and also something that we are using, I created 2 templates for Axelra, for React Native and React Apps. So when we have to start a new project, whether the project is a web application or a mobile app, we use these templates, and so everyone in the company is getting used to them, and it kind of helps them also. Okay, if they have to switch project because we have to allocate more resources on another project, they can easily get into the project because they already know the template, how it's structured, how it works with TypeScript and the libraries and so on.
Yeah.
So it's easier also for them.
And there used to be a cost of using TypeScript, but now that it's integrated through Babel, it's really, you get it for free because it's exactly the same JavaScript plus type annotations, which are just ignored by Babel. So now there is, and you can use ESLint on your code. So now there is really no barrier to entry, no downside of using TypeScript. It's as if you would have it by default, actually. But
I love it.
Yeah.
For ESLint, we're using Johnny's configuration for the new project, which I also love. And with TypeScript, as you said, it helps in every direction, because you can easily, the code, it's easier to understand, it's easier to maintain, and it also, in my opinion, it's more structured. And
all right, I have one last question before we go. So you guys are building these great products for your clients, and as you said, React Native is evolving very quickly. How do you keep up? Because sometimes you just need to get it done in 100 days, but sometimes it's worth like investing time to researching the new stuff, because down the line it can help you dramatically in your projects.
Yeah.
How do you deal with this these two sides?
So it's a trade-off. So Johnny and I, for instance, we are constantly talking about React Native, React, the community. So we are always up to date with what is happening in the whole React Native community. So we try to translate these new news, these new features into new projects, right? But it's not always possible. So, for instance, if we start a project today, it might be that next year it's already deprecated. So the version of React Native. So then it's then the task of the new developers from the other companies to maintain the code and to update the version. I mean, it's easier to maintain, to upgrade to a lower change, so minor change. It's easier than just wait 1 year and then update from, I don't know, for instance, 0.1 to 0.6. It's going to break everything and you're going to just lose a lot of time. So we just upgrade the version every time that the new version is stable. We just upgrade the new React Native version. So
that's also a practice which I followed for my own project, and I think you do win a lot of time. So it's a bit of work that doesn't feel necessary, and you always feel like you have something better to do. But down the line, it saves you from code base being essentially completely obsolete or completely dead.
Yeah,
and that's great.
I agree.
Hey, Lucas, thank you so much.
It's been a pleasure. Thanks for inviting me, for having me.
All right, see you guys. Ciao.